Good morning and welcome to this video. I just want to share with you guys that today's meditation brought up a lot of anger in my heart space, or there was just a lot of anger in my heart space that wanted to be seen, that wanted to be heard. And the real truth of this anger is it's like anger at self, anger turned around on self, like self-hatred. A lot of this I'm bad, I'm wrong, I fucked up type of energy really came up this morning. And this energy can be so difficult to work with. It can be so believable. It can be like so piercing and invasive and intrusive. And this can be like a lot of intrusive thoughts can be born and derived from this type of energy. It's like the inner critic energy, right? A lot of us have strong inner critics and they're super believable and super convincing. And so when this energy comes up in the past, and even some this morning, I've had a difficult time working with it. But what I've found, the easiest way for me to really handle this type of self-critical, self-hatred type of energy without believing it, is to adopt this radical belief system that a lot of your minds might even fight with as I say it. A lot of your inner critics might fight with this as I say it. But I've found that adopting this radical belief system has helped me more than anything with these type of energies when they come up. And that is, we are never wrong. We are never wrong. We are never bad. You know, we've never, like to adopt, like, we're not bad. We're not wrong. We can do no wrong. To literally untangle all self-judgment. And what this does for me is it allows me the freedom, like when this energy comes up, and if it's saying anything like you're bad, you're wrong, I can just immediately nope, I don't believe that. And what I see, the deeper beauty here in this, when these energies come up, it's just that part of me feeling safe enough to finally come up and be seen. Like, how many times are we told, you're bad, you shouldn't have done that, how dare you, how could you? You know, like, it was ingrained in us, if we grew up in reward punishment society, that we're bad or we're good. It's like literally ingrained in our cells, in our DNA. And so a lot of times when we start cultivating a lot of loving kindness in the heart space, these aspects of us will feel safe to come up, and they'll look for any reason to come up. They'll look for any little thing that we may do, quote unquote, wrong, or that we may slip up and we may do, quote unquote, we may be bad or something. They'll look for those little openings to come up and be seen. Like, for example, let me give you a real example. This is how crazy this gets, like these energies get, and how hyper obsessive and OCD this stuff can be. I was meditating this morning, and I have this commitment to myself to meditate for an hour every morning, right when I wake up. Like, first thing I do, no negotiations, I just do it no matter how I feel. And this morning I meditated, I believe, for about an hour, but there was this part of me that was like, came up and said, oh no, you didn't go quite an hour. Like, I might have been a few seconds short of an hour or something, right? And it used that, it tried to like weaponize that to bludgeon me, to make me feel horrible about myself, to say, you broke your commitment to yourself, how could you? It almost wanted me to just restart and do the whole hour again. And I felt like this heaviness, and for a minute, for a moment there, I was like almost believing it, like, oh my God, I did fuck up, how could I did the worst thing ever, right? And I don't even know if it's true if I cut the meditation short by a few seconds or not, or a minute or something. And if I did, oh my God, is that a reason to be so hard on myself? To cut myself off from love? from loving kindness, from compassion. And I felt this voice of like this disciplinarian come up, this unforgiving harshness arise in my system. And I noticed in that moment, is it useful for me to believe this voice and be hard on myself and shut down and close my heart down to myself, to stop loving myself, to punish myself? Is that useful to believe this voice? Or is the more enlightened and aware and loving perspective to see that this is just an aspect of self who has been told he's wrong and he's bad over and over and over again, and he notices that my heart is open to him now, and he notices that there is the space and there is the light now to come up and be seen by me. It doesn't do that aspect of me any good to start believing him and go into identification with him, because then he doesn't really get to be seen. He just comes up and it's like he just sinks me. But if he comes up, that aspect of us, if it comes up and I don't believe I don't believe that he's wrong and he's bad and he messed up, and I just hold this space of loving compassion for him, then he gets integrated. He gets integrated into wholeness. And so often this has happened in the past where these parts have come up and I've just believed them and went into identification with them. And I would start doing self-sabotage type things. I would start doing things like, well, I fucked up, I'm bad, so I'm not worthy. There was even a voice that said today, you can't even share now. Like these voices, these self-condemning voices, these voices rooted in self-hatred, they are really powerful, and they are, like I said, really convincing, and they can really shut us down if we go into identification with them. But if we just simply see that we are never wrong, we are not bad at our essence, then we can notice that these are just parts of us coming up that want to be seen, and we don't have to believe them. We just get to love them, and we get to tell them, hey, it's okay. It's okay. We get to meet these aspects of ourselves, these energies, with compassion. And on a human level, say you really do quote unquote mess up, you make a mistake, you accidentally hurt someone, you drop the ball, something happens of that nature. Even then, is it useful to punish yourself? Is it useful to be mean to yourself? Or is that useful to you and the one? Is it useful to you and the one to be mean to yourself, to punish yourself, to condemn yourself, to hate yourself, and then to go into a shell, to shut down? Is that actually useful to anyone? Or is it more useful in that moment to let yourself off the hook, to notice that you just tried the best you could, that sometimes we drop the ball? Is it more useful for you to immediately forgive yourself, to let go of holding on to all of that self-hatred, that guilt, and that shame, and then to just keep moving forward with an open heart, to keep moving forward in loving kindness towards yourself and others? Yeah, apologize if you need to, of course. This is not about not taking accountability for ourselves. This is not what this is about. This is about releasing ourselves from this aspect of shadow within us so that we can be useful to ourselves and others. And when I say useful, I just mean loving and forgiving and kind and compassionate. Whereas if we get stuck in identification with these voices of I'm bad and I'm wrong and I fucked up, it can just sink us into this hole, and we can be there for a long time. And I've been in those holes, and there's a lot of self-sabotage that happens, like I said there. There's a lot of self-harm that happens there. There's a lot of addiction that happens there. It's like this looping, this trauma loop. It's like when something comes up and it's saying, and it's screaming at you, you're bad, you're wrong, you suck. That's trauma. If you actually fuck up, the voice of God doesn't come up and say things like that to you that intensely. There's just a bit of remorse and concern in your heart. Getting so many chills saying that. If you actually fuck up, right? If you actually drop the ball, it's gonna feel soft, actually, like this remorse and concern, this soft, tender sadness will come up, this soft, tender remorse. But if it's harsh, if it's biting, if it's cruel, if it's mean, if it's those kind of voices, it's trauma. You don't need to believe it at all. in that moment, see its trauma, let yourself off the hook. See that this trauma just needs you to be aware of it, needs to be seen. It doesn't need you to believe it. It really doesn't. You could just see it and love it and hold space for it. And it's coming up, like I keep repeating, because you're ready to see it, because you've healed enough to have the space to bring it into wholeness. How many inner children are living within you that feel like they have fucked up in the past and they are irredeemable now and they can never like be loved again? How many of those inner children feel so, like I said, so unlovable because how they have perceived they messed up and did something so bad in the past, when if you actually feel into it, it's probably something really little. And the people that told them they were bad were just going through something, a lot of anger, and they needed somewhere to release and vent their anger onto. And so they just, you happened to be that person that day. But that was so big for your nervous system when you were little that you felt like, oh my God, I'm just so bad. And it's like that one in you, it's looking for the littlest reasons to come up and be seen. And just so know that. If you make a little error and all of a sudden you're bombarded with all these voices that are so intense, like you really fucked up. And no, it's that inner child coming up to be met by you. And so I'm just like reaffirming this because it's reaffirming for my own system too. Like I'm releasing and unraveling myself from these patterns of, self-blame and self-hatred and shame and all of this stuff. Like when I say it, it's healing my own system as well. So these videos, when I'm going through something really real like it was this morning, they are so liberating for me to share. And so I hope that what came through and how I work through these issues has been helpful for you in some way. I know this is a big one for a lot of us. This is such a big one for a lot of my clients. And I notice my clients, the people that are drawn to me to work with me in sessions, they go through so many of the same things I go through. So of course, like that makes sense because I'm able to help them because I'm walking the same path. I got the same type of shadow. And so, yeah, it's so interesting how that all works out karmically. But sending you all so much love. If these videos help you and you would like to support this work, you can do so through joining the Patreon page, where it is going through a new rebirth. And I just posted my first video a couple days ago all about dopamine detox withdrawals and inner child tantrums. And yeah, I'm really excited about the Patreon page, and it feels so good to actually see it growing already a little bit since it has rebirthed. So yeah, thanks for your support over there. I also will put a donation link below where you can give me a donation. That always really helps, of course. But other than that, just thank you so much for being here. You're all so loved. Let yourself off the hook. Be nice to yourself. Love the inner critic to death. Just love him and love him and love him. Tell him it's okay and that he's safe, that she's safe. And other than that, just wishing you all a beautiful day. Namaste.